Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to another episode of 6 Inning Stretch with Lindsay, Dunn, and Whit Merrifield. And Whit, I know you're in a great mood because your South Carolina Gamecocks are 1-0, baby.
Go Cox, baby. Go Cox.
And you were there.
Let's not get on me for saying go Cox. They're the Gamecocks. Go Cox is the rally cry. If you weren't in high school and didn't want to get the snapback hat that said Cox on the bill, then you really weren't a true high schooler.
I know someone mentioned, I think it might have been on our TikTok, which, by the way, go follow all of our social media. Shout out to us for not being hacked for a second week in a row on YouTube. But someone is like, how does Whit not crack up when he says Gamecock so much? And I'm with them because I'm 5 and I laugh every time you say it.
It's a chicken that goes out and fights to the death. There's nothing funny about it. All right.
But on that note, we also had some great viewer response to the last episode, which I need to bring up. I asked you needed to get that chair that you had. You were so comfortable. You were living life. And I asked people like, hey, can you Photoshop Whit into the Seinfeld moment? And we actually had some people send them in. They were clearly AI and one that was not, of the moment when George Costanza. I love the internet. That one, like, they got the hat. The face doesn't really look like you, but there was a couple more.
And it just trying to figure out what the face is. Yeah. You couldn't do this yourself?
That one, they just put your face on that. That one had me in tears. I was laughing so hard because it was just, I happened to see a couple of them because I don't actually, for the most part, check my Instagram DMs. And when I looked, it was just a bunch of photos of you that people had photoshopped as Costanza on the couch from the Seinfeld episode. So thank you to everyone who sent that. But you need to get that couch. You were so relaxed. Play some golf.
I know. I need it.
To your wife.
We need a new couch in here. It's actually a nice couch, but it doesn't keep its form. It's just, these are different first world problems, but that's for a different episode.
I can't wait. It's the episode when we actually get to see your house. So we're going to have Shane Bieber on today, but obviously everyone is so happy for what he's doing and the story of him coming back from getting surgery and not having pitched for almost 500 days and just being so phenomenal in those starts. But the bullpen, big topic around the Toronto Blue Jays. They've been struggling. Chris Bassett saying, they're tired. What are your thoughts on this and even the management of the bullpen? Where do you want to go?
Look, this is the biggest mismanaged part of our sport, in my opinion. And it's not even the manager's fault. It comes from the front office, who rely on the analytical department way too much when it comes to bullpen usage, because the numbers say that as a starter, when you face a lineup for the third time, your numbers become way worse when the batter can see you for the third time. So if so facto, that's about the 4th or 5th inning. Really, if the pitcher's going okay, the third time's coming up, we got to get him out of there. So let's bring in, if you come in the 4th, or if the pitcher lasts through the 4th inning, how many innings is that left for the bullpen? Lindsay, do the math.
I was just nodding my head.
That's five innings for the bullpen to take over. And if they get through the 5th, which is now considered like, wow, you got through the 5th inning, that's 4 innings for the bullpen over 162 days. There's 8 guys in the bullpen. So you're using half the bullpen when a starter has a quality day over 162. That's going to wear these guys out. And there's just no more value in letting pitchers go deep into games and trusting your starters to good starters. The Blue Jays have good starters, trusting them to go deep into games to save the bullpen. And, it goes back to like the start of the year. Everybody's so gung-ho on we got to win every single game from game 1 to game 162. And yes, you should try to win every single game, but you can do that with different guys. People talk about games in April meaning the same as games in September. Technically, yes, a game in April, a win in April counts just like a win in September. But I've always been of the belief that you in April and May and June, it's a time to use, if you feel like you have a legitimate playoff team, you got to use your whole team. You got to use bench guys. You got to get guys in the game. You can't let guys go 2 weeks without playing. You got to use your bullpen. You got to use guys in leverage spots that you might not consider leverage spots late in the year, but you put them in there early in the year to, one, build their confidence that they know that you have confidence in them because you're putting them in these situations. You're getting them experience in these leverage situations, and you're also giving your back end guys, your 8, 9 guys, you're giving them rests. You're giving them breaks so that way when September comes, they don't feel like they're hanging on by a thread. They feel like they're kind of peaking. They're at their best. And that's what you want at this time of year. You don't want guys struggling and they're losing their confidence that are supposed to be your guys because you've worn them out all year. So it's not just the Blue Jays. It's everybody. It's everybody in the league that does this because the analytical department see players as numbers. They don't see players as players that go through 162 games, that deal with things, that get tired and, oh, well, your stuff's down, so we got to bump you out of this. Well, my stuff's down because you've worn me out. So that's my gripe. Starters need to be stretched out. They're there to go deep into games when they're going well to save the bullpen. I think the starters in Toronto are more than capable of going 6, 7, 8 innings anytime they grab the ball. And because you do that, now your bullpen's fresh when September comes around. So, it's not Schneider's fault, and I think he does as good a job as he can at letting the guys go as deep into the game as he can. But, like I said, it's a baseball pandemic that guys are getting pulled at 80 pitches because they're about to face a team or a lineup for the third time. And it's just killing bullpen guys because guys are replaceable. You got 3 other guys in AAA. They're throwing 100 with a slider that goes 24 inches horizontal, and that's all people care about. So I could go on for a long time about it. It drives me nuts. But that's why I'm sitting on the side of this camera talking to you about it instead of playing in it now, I guess.
You could be a manager. You'd be interesting.
I think, well, I don't know. This might sound bad, but I definitely think I could be a manager. I don't know if I want to be a manager, but I definitely think I could be a manager.
When we talk about from the bullpen actually to the batter's box, always something talked about every team, whether or not they're hitting or not. Last year and the couple of years before, even people were just saying how the Jays were not performing well at the plate. But Dave Popkins has been brought in this year. It's his first year with the team. How do you think that he's kind of improved them, or what have you been hearing?
Well, I mean, I've talked about hitting coaches a lot, and a hitting coach at the big league level is, and this I don't want this to sound bad or like I'm knocking the hitting coach, because I'm not. A hitting coach is the hardest job in sports as a coach, I believe. They are a glorified therapist. They're a therapist that knows about hitting. And what I mean by that is, at this level, everybody has their own swing. Everybody's in the big leagues for a reason, because they hit. The swing is not one. There's not one swing for every player. Every player's got their own swing. Every player goes about the swing differently, because different thoughts resonate differently with different players. So, for me, I needed to think a lot of things, but I needed to think about swinging down, because if I thought about this whole like drop and swing thing that is this teacher man guy thinks is the end all be all, there's no way I'm going to hit the baseball. I'm going to pop everything up, or I'm going to be under everything, because that's how I resonate. Now, a guy like Aaron Judge and other guys that use it that have success, it resonates good with them because it puts their bat on the right path. Anyway, so there's a lot of mechanical things, but most guys, when they work mechanics, they have their own like hitting guy now. So it's not the hitting coach. The hitting coach's job is to formulate a scouting report on the pitcher, deliver it to the team in a way that guys aren't falling asleep during the meeting because you're going through the same thing over and over again. It's something quick. It's something, this is what this guy's got. He's going to pound the zone. We got to attack him early. Don't wait around. Don't try to work the count. like guy like Shane Bieber, like when we would have success off him, we would be aggressive early because if you get to 0-2 off Bieber, you got no chance. So why wait till you get to 2 strikes? Go get the first good one you see. Stuff like that. This guy can't find the zone, maybe work the count a little bit. And then there are little things that the hitting coach, when he understands his players swings, little things that might put you off that he can recognize and be like, hey, you're a little more open than you have been. Why don't you close up a little bit? It'll put you on a better path, stuff like that. So really, I think what Popkins has done a great job of is getting guys confident and getting guys feeling great about themselves as they go to the plate, because that's like half the battle as a hitter. When things are going bad, if you have any doubt in your head, hitting is so hard in anyway. If there's any sort of doubt that you're not going to have success when you step in the box, you're toast. And so I think from what I've heard, because I have not been in there with Pop as he's working with guys, that he's doing a great job of instilling confidence in guys, and guys have responded.
Well, you just talked a lot, so I feel like it's time for us to read an ad.
I did talk a lot. I read when people bring up like hitting coaches and stuff with analytics and the bullpen and pitching and the way the game's run. It angers me and it fires me up because I don't like where the game is headed, and I tend to ramble when that happens, and that's what's happening now, and that's why I'm still talking, even though you were about to talk. I didn't want you to talk because I needed to say more things, and I'm still talking now, but now you can go.
I'm so happy we have this podcast together, and I will be asking you an analytic question every time. But anyway, this segment is brought to you by our friends at Greta Bar. Not only a great spot to watch the game or to play in the arcade with great street food, but also a great spot for your upcoming team building or corporate functions. Need somewhere to bring your team together for a good time? Check out Greta, which, by the way, they have bi-weekly trivia on Friday evenings. For more information, go to gretabar.com, 590 King Street West. Greta Bar, let the games begin. And Whit, I have a piece of trivia for you today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
According to the CBS Sports Research Desk, what Blue Jays pitcher is the only pitcher in franchise history to strike out 9 or more batters while permitting 2 hits or fewer and walking no one in their debut for the team?
Shane Bieber.
Yay!
Obviously. He's on the show today. I knew you were going to do something stupid like that for someone who's on the show today. That's good. Shout out Shane. He's nasty.
Shout out to you, though, because last time when I did that, I think it was with Ty France, you got it wrong. So you were the bit of a bozo there. So
I'm a quick learner.
Welcome. All right. I'll let you have the honor of introducing our guest today. I'm excited for this conversation.
The newest Blue Jay. He is not related to Justin. And he is an awesome dude and a great pitcher. And Toronto should be thrilled that he is on this team. And he is Shane Bieber.
This show is brought to you by Simply Spiked. You know that feeling of summer, backyard hangs, road trips, catching the Jays on the radio, wishing those moments could last forever? Well, that's what Simply Spiked is all about. They squeeze every juicy drop of summer into every sip with 3 refreshing flavors to choose from. There's the OG summer classic Simply Spiked Lemonades, then you have Simply Spiked Peach, and the newest edition Simply Spiked Limeade. The other weekend while the Jays were on the road, I cracked a Simply Spiked Peach, and let me tell you, it just hits different hearing the crack of the bat through the speakers, and that's peak summer right there. Simply Spiked is made with real fruit juice, 5% alcohol, and it's the perfect summer drink. So before summer slips away, squeeze in every juicy drop of it. If you want to keep those summer vibes rolling, grab a Simply Spiked variety pack and try all 3 flavors. Pick it up today at your local liquor store because nothing pairs better with Jays baseball and sunshine than Simply Spiked. Must be legal drinking age, and remember to celebrate responsibly. Shane, welcome to 6 Inning Stretch. We are so happy to have you here, and I just have to, that is a beautiful duster on your face. Have you heard anyone call it a duster?
No, that's got to be my first time. Obviously, this is kind of new to me, couple months old, so first time for everything. I appreciate it.
We've had 3 mustaches on the show, and 1 for 3 have heard it called duster. I've never heard it called duster. Matt Chapman never heard it called duster, but Davis.
Matt Chapman said he heard it as a duster, and he was just being nice. I'll just say that because he's a...
Was it Davis that didn't know?
I've definitely heard the term, but nobody's ever graced me with that term specifically, so I appreciate it.
Oh, already my favorite guest. I love this. So every time we have somebody on here before we have the full conversation, we have a segment called Extra Innings where we show either tweets or videos from the guest we have on. So Shane, prepare yourself for Extra Innings. You had so much material to pick from, but because I want you to talk to me at the ballpark and not hate Whit and myself, I will say my favorite tweet I found of yours was, quote, tweeting about Game of Thrones having a new episode, and you said, "This tweet just gave me a throner."
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yes, you did. I screenshotted it. We would put it in this episode.
That's clever.
Oh, great. Thanks.
That's
I probably
clever.
won't talk to you after this. But I appreciate it. I mean, I am a throny. Who knows when they're going to release new episodes, but I've been caught up since college. Hopefully that tweet was when I was in college. We don't need to backdate it though, or we don't need to check the dates. But yeah, I mean, love it. Love Game of Thrones, everything about it. I will be tuned in whenever the next show or season releases.
It's too scary. I've only ever once saw an episode, and it was the Red Wedding, which I think you wouldn't know about, and I wasn't able to sleep. But anyways, let's get with the first video today that actually showcases both of you. And Whit, I'm actually going to look for you to break down a little bit of what happened in this video here. So,
God, I hope this is a homer. There wasn't many of them.
nope.
Gosh, that's a strike. Should have swung.
And the head shake. Just
Yeah, because you don't get many balls that aren't exactly on the corner when Bieber's pitching. So he left that one like a ball in off the onto the plate. I should have swung at that one.
just the head shake. That's all we needed.
That's the best video you could have come up with.
Oh no, we have tons. There's tons of video. Oh, and so many when you were mic'd up. Like you had this great clip where you're like, "Leather tastes good." I'm like, this is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to start with Whit shaking.
The smell of a new glove, man.
At some point in this show, Lindsay, well, multiple times, Lindsay's going to ask you a stupid question or do something dumb, and I just have to sit here and shake my head because I can't control what she does. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance.
Hey, no worries.
I apologize for Whit in advance. The second one, obviously, a lot of people ask you about Justin Bieber. I only have one question, and it's mostly so when people tune in, yeah, whatever. This is when it was Players Weekend, and you chose to wear the Not Justin jersey, and then Justin wore the Not Shane Bieber one. But it also brings in the Topps card, where on the back of your card it said Justin. Fun conspiracy out there that this was all planned in a great marketing scheme. Was it, Shane?
Like, not by me, no. But I will tip my cap to Topps. I'm in on that tinfoil hat all the way on. They definitely did that on purpose, and I've fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I think I tweeted, I circled it. I was like, "Yo, you guys spelled my name wrong." Back when I used to be more active on Twitter, hence the Game of Thrones tweet. And now I'll never be active on Twitter again. Thanks, but yeah, I think it was a marketing ploy potentially, and good on them. It ended up getting a little bit of steam. Obviously, that's something I've dealt with for a long, long time. And that has been a hot topic since being traded over to Toronto. Obviously, Canada's baseball team and Canada's wonder, Justin Bieber. And there's obviously some obvious connection there. So that's been definitely a hot topic.
Did you have any win that he was going to do that jersey, or did you just see it?
No, I just saw it. Thought it was pretty funny. I got to give credit to my boy Joe Record and my college buddies. I think that was maybe 2018, my rookie year. And I was just being called up, and they came to me and they're like, "Hey, what's your Players Weekend nickname?" And I was like, I mean, I got nicknames, but I'm trying to come up with something witty. And texted my buddies, and my buddy Joe came up with that one right away, and it caught some steam. So I had no idea Justin was going to do that. I thought it was pretty funny though.
That's pretty cool.
This next video, it is serious. It's, I think, a lovely moment. It recently happened in Miami where you had your first MLB start in almost 500 days. You had a 9K gem of a game, and then you made your debut at the Rogers Center as a Blue Jay not short after, where you, I think, struck out the first 3 batters. I know you've kind of spoken about this, but What were your emotions stepping on that mound, throwing out the first pitch? Because obviously now you have an entire country watching you. You have pretty much every MLB analyst or whatever watching what you're doing, and then everyone that was involved and around you during your rehab.
Yeah, a lot of emotions, a lot of excitement. For me, the rehab process, I feel like was relatively smooth. I'm very grateful for how everything went. Really, since the day I got out of surgery, I was able to kind of put my head down and work, and always had the end goal in sight of getting back on the major league mound and making my first start. And so never doubted for 1 second that I would get back to that point. It was just a matter of time. And so I was very happy to see it kind of all come into fruition. I was definitely looking forward to that one being at the Rogers Center, hopefully. The way it kind of lined up was on the road in Miami. But I was able to make my second start at the Rogers Center, which was absolutely electric. And, I'm just happy to be back. I'm grateful for the journey of what is Tommy John surgery and recovery now. Everything that it's uh, given to me and provided for me, and just kind of a lane to make my way back to the major league. So definitely happy to be back.
By the way, those last two pitches in those videos, were those changeups or splits?
Yeah, change up. Yeah, it's a new
I was about to
new
say,
one.
when did that come about?
Yeah, actually early 24, before I blew out. It's always been like a work in progress, right? And I've always had trouble taking velocity off of a changeup and throwing a traditional changeup, and tried it a bunch of different ways. And I just spin the ball a little bit more efficiently and a little bit better. And um, I finally gave up trying to make it a normal changeup and decided to throw it hard. And maybe how do we make this like a power sinker, like a power split? So it's kind of like a one seam changeup in 2024. I had some good success with it. Now, obviously, I went down with Tommy John and was able to kind of pick it back up throughout my rehab process. So it's been fun just to kind of like, as like, I'm gonna stick with my strengths, especially to right-handed hitters, and stay in the away lane and spin off of that. But how many times you did it specifically, like it's comfortable to lean out over and you know hit something hard to right field. So I need something to equalize and kind of keep right-handed hitters on their heels a little bit as well. Something coming into them.
It's a splinker, right? Isn't that the new term?
Essentially, yeah, splinker. I'm kicking it a little bit, so kick change. I don't know. Oh, there's all these new names.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just call it a changeup. That's my version of a changeup.
Love it.
When you were rehabbing, though, did you work on some of, whether it be grip or different pitches while you're in that process?
Yeah, I think there's room to do that. Obviously, at the right time when the medical staff signs off on, and they're comfortable with you playing a little bit and your allotment of throws for the day. But like I said, I was pretty grateful early on for how I was feeling and recovering, and especially into my early days of throwing program, how everything was going. And so I've always been a guy to kind of like push the boundaries a little bit, especially with throwing programs and all that. And so I'm grateful to, at the time, the Cleveland medical staff, not just in Cleveland, but in Goodyear, Arizona, where I was doing most of my rehab work, keeping me in check, keeping me in line. I would push. They would pull. And so it was a good kind of good balance there.
Even in 2024, when you were pitching before you blew out, were you healthy? Were you 100% healthy?
Yeah, I felt like it. Yeah.
Okay. Because you were coming off something, right?
Yeah, I was coming off an elbow actually, and so in 23, I had a slight strain to my UCL, and that's all public. I rehabbed it the back half of the year. I ended up making my last two starts of the year. I was very grateful for that, and to be able to put that behind me. I felt healthy for my last two starts of the year. I had a completely healthy off season. Honestly, it was a sick off season. I put in a ton of work, and I was able to see some, dividends starting to pay off, and my stuff was back to a place where I was comfortable getting swings and misses, and then going into a game and reading swings and making in-game adjustments. And I was having fun again, and had an awesome spring training, was throwing a little bit harder, and completely put it behind me mentally. Like, I thought, all right, here we go. We're gonna do this thing, have a sick year. And um ultimately I had a failing ligament. It just happened in Oakland. Um, who knows why? I think ultimately I just chalk it up to um, general usage, and kind of had a failing ligament that just wasn't gonna sustain. And Oakland, it was cold, windy, dry, and who knows, just major league environment, spring training, as big as you can make those outings, nothing compares to a Major League Baseball game and the stress of a Major League Baseball inning. And so I felt it go in like the fourth inning. And I was like, made my decision. I was like, okay, well, that's surgery if it is what I think it is. So I decided to push it into the back of my head and keep going. And then we kind of reassessed throughout the next few days and decided surgery was the right move.
Blue Jays fans know nothing beats that perfect swing, a big win, and the perfect snack to go with it. And right now, Pizza Pizza has a brand new hit on the menu, chicken tenders. Made with 100% Canadian farm-raised chicken, cooked to crispy golden perfection. You can dip them, sauce them, cheer them on however you like. They're the real MVP. Try them with Pizza Pizza's Mix and Match special, a large 2-topping pizza, 4 chicken tenders, and dip for just $19.99. Or grab your own snack box with fries and dip. And for the bold fans in the stands, Pizza Pizza's serving up 3 new dip flavors, including my favorite, the Mango Pineapple Chili Crisp, which packs more heat than a midsummer game at the Rogers Center. So don't wait. Swing by Pizza Pizza today, or order on the app or at pizzapizza.ca. Pizza Pizza, because everyone deserves pizza. Was that an emotional moment, or when you're already throwing so great before that, knowing that on the other side of this, your stuff could be even better?
Yeah, it sucked. It was brutal. It was devastating. So I ended up finishing that outing against Oakland, and I just had to be sure. So I took some time off over the next couple days, and then I decided to make my next start, which was in Seattle. I was able to make my next start, and it was hurting from my first warm up until pitch whatever, 85-ish. But I threw anyways, because I knew that this was probably going to be the last time that I was going to pitch for a little while, for what ended up being 16 months. And so, yeah, it was super emotional, especially that outing, like in between innings, knowing exactly what was happening, trying to enjoy it, and then knowing that I was most likely going to go get an MRI the next day. It was going to show what I already kind of knew in my gut was what was to be true. And then I was going to have to go get surgery.
Now you're back. Everyone's so happy that you're back. I hope you feel that energy, because now you have really an entire country that is cheering for you. And while you have this excitement of, you're back, you're playing in the majors, you also were traded right before that from an organization you were with for almost a decade. And I know there's a quote of you saying you're disciplined with your emotions. Has it, you have even kind of thought about the moment that you were traded and what you're doing, or you're so focused on the task that was coming up of, actually getting in a game and pitching? Has this all sunk in?
Yeah. Short answer, no. Not sure if I want it to. I could handle it, but I continue to process it daily. It's not something that I dwell on or hang on. I'm very excited to be exactly where I'm at. It's been an awesome transition for me. When you ask about specifically the moment that I got the call that I was being traded, I got a family, a wife, and a 5-month-old. I was like, okay, how are we getting to Toronto? Where are we going to live? There's so many logistics that go into it, that doesn't get talked about too much. And obviously it's my first time getting traded. Some guys have more experience, than others, or who've gone through it. And so I was able to contact those guys, lean on them, lean on what was my new club at the time, the Toronto Blue Jays, and all the help that, that goes into moving cities, and changing countries, and figuring all that stuff out. So I was really just no time to get too emotional. We got a lot of things to figure out. And so we were able to jump kind of right into action. And my wife was just like an absolute rock star. I was definitely a little bit more erratic than she was. She was dialed in from the moment we heard we were going to Toronto.
Did you have an inkling that you were going to get traded? Because I knew I was getting traded, and it took me a long time. I mean, because I think you were in Cleveland longer than I was in Kansas City, but it still took me a while to realize that I'm no longer going to be a Kansas City Royal. So was it thrown on you, or did you have kind of an inkling that you were going to get traded?
I had an inkling, yeah. I had nothing but the utmost respect for Chris and Mike and everybody in Cleveland, and I think they do a fantastic job of doing their best to communicate with guys of what kind of situation they might be in. Um, I think Cleveland's season up to that point was a little bit up and down, and there's some um, some waves that ended up swaying a decision. And I think Chris was like, hey, there's a possibility that we might have to move you. I'll keep you updated as best as I possibly can. But as you know, like around the trade deadline, things happen quick, and he has an insane job to do and to manage. And so he let me know what I believe was right after I got traded that called me and said we came to terms with Toronto. Ross Atkins is going to give you a call here soon, and you guys can figure everything out from there. And so it was kind of like that. So I had a feeling that I was going to get moved to where. I had no idea. But thankfully we already had a passport for our little man. And it worked out great.
It worked out great, and then you went to the Canadian border because I believe you drove from Cleveland, and I was there the day that you spoke to the media for the first time, and let me tell you, my car has been ripped apart once. How fun
Yeah.
was your border experience?
Yeah, they didn't rip up the car, but definitely had like all of our belongings. We went from a home in the suburbs of Cleveland to city living in Toronto, so we had to downsize quite a bit. That's one of the fun, I guess, puzzle pieces to put together of being traded is figuring out your housing situation and your just where you're gonna live. And so at the border, yeah, thankfully, like things move quick, but not something that the Blue Jays haven't dealt with before. And so they had my papers ready, just had to get out, kind of explain the whole situation. And thankfully we met with a border agent that kind of understood what was going on, and was in the loop, I guess. And so he was able to help expedite as best as we could, like, the process in finding my papers and getting them printed out and sorted and all that. So it was a bit of a snag, but a quick one, all things considered.
Talk about a different transition from we talked a little. Mentioned a little bit a minute ago about you as a pitcher and how it's just so frustrating to face you because you just never you feel like you never give you anything to hit. Like you have to hit a pitcher's pitch if you're going to have success off you. And a lot of that comes with, I don't feel like you're the guy that, a lot of teams are telling catchers nowadays, set up down the middle and just let them rip. You like the catcher to set up, I'm sure, a certain way because you're so precise with where you're throwing the ball. Is there a transition going from catchers that you've worked with for a long time in Cleveland to, now you got Kirky and Heineman, new catchers that you ever worked with before?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a part of the equation. Thankfully, Heine and Kirky are fantastic and great receivers of the ball, especially Kirky, like with that low ball, which I like to throw a lot. He's fantastic. And so pretty relatively seamless transition. But like you said, I mean, that's quite the connection that you build, and that starts in spring training, starting pitcher to a catcher. And so we're kind of on a fast track here, but I think we've got plenty of time. We continue to learn each other, not just him learning me, but me learning him and those guys. And so everything's going really well, but that's absolutely part of the equation. The moment you get traded, you kind of want to build that rapport, and it's going really well. I'm thankful for that.
Are you particular on how they set up? Because I remember in Cleveland when Roberto Perez was there, I would get so mad. Every time I'd walk at the start of the game, I'd walk to home plate and I'd tell the umpire, I said, look, don't let him set up off the plate just because he's catching it right where he's set up. It's not a strike. It's got to be on the plate. but he would just set up and it would just boom, boom, boom. So are you particular with how they set up?
These umpires are getting tighter and tighter though.
They are.
They
Thank
see
God.
it, to be fair. But yeah, I'm not super particular. I think I do want to work like edge to edge, and I feel like I'm capable of that. However, the catcher wants to set up to best benefit not only me but him. You know, they get graded on receiving scores, and they care just as much as anybody about getting those strikes. And we're at the end of the day, we're competing to win. And so, how are we going to do that? And like I said, I like to work edge to edge as opposed to set up middle and let it rip. And so, you know, they did ask about like targets. Do you like me setting up high, low? Are you okay with this timing? And every catcher has a different timing mechanism, and you see different receiving techniques nowadays, and it's changed over the course of even the last 3 years. You know, guys, you know, showing the target, going down last minute, snapping down, and then trying to work up through the ball, and display it better for the umpire. However they feel most comfortable and best, like that's important too. You don't want to disrupt a catcher's timing. So I'm happy with how everything's gone. I'm not crazy particular about like them flashing targets and then getting it away. I'm like, as long as you show me a little bit of that target, I'm gonna do my best to throw it there.
Have you ever seen Kirk set up
once it's
high?
out of my he sets up high a little bit, but then he goes back down, right?
He just stands up. I love Kirk. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's so entertaining. When we talk about like transitioning and things changing, I remember when you were in college, I think you were doing, this is a mentality kind of change question, how you do almost positive self-talk too, but you're kind of not so positive about the other, like the batter that's facing you. And I know Scherzer does this, and it caught me off guard at spring training because it's so quiet, and he's throwing all these words I can't say on this podcast right now because I don't want to get beeped out. But when did that change for you that you weren't kind of doing that route?
Probably around getting into pro ball. Like when you start making a start every 5 days, it it comes quick. I'd say it's around the same time of like I used to be crazy superstitious in college and very particular. I think a lot of guys go through this kind of transition or phase, and I think it's very valuable to be superstitious / routine oriented, but there's a fine line between the two. So I transitioned from a little bit overly superstitious to okay, this is my routine. This is what gets me ready. This is what I need to do to be able to go out there and have my body right to compete. And then and that was right around getting into pro ball. Once you make a start every 5 days, it's like, this is exhausting. If I'm counting, if I need to do, like last week, nine reps of cat cow worked. So I got to do 9. Like it was a little much. I think a lot of guys are like that, especially in college. And so, kind of focused on like, hey, I just need to get my body right. I trust that I am prepared. I've done my work in between starts to be ready for this start, to go out there and compete and just lighten the mental load a little bit. I know Whit was kind of nodding along. You kind of get what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I don't, when people, because there are still players that are like superstitious, like to the core. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, there's a routine and there's being superstitious. Get your routine, but don't be so superstitious that if you're playing in the World Series and there's the national anthem, there's God Bless America, there's 7 first pitches, it takes an hour from the time you stretch to the first. Now you're throwing out a whack and you feel like you can't succeed because your superstitious routine is off. So yeah, you're spot on with that. Like, get your routine, but don't feel like if something goes astray that it's going to throw you out of whack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's deep, Lindsay.
Congratulations. That was deep. It actually caught me off guard that you can speak so eloquently. In 2021, you had a moment where you said that Max Scherzer was a pitcher that, you know, you enjoyed watching or being around mostly for the mentality part. What's it been like being a teammate with Max and him talking about his mentality, if you've been able to have those conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to pick his brain every chance I get. Not just about baseball, but about life. Like, he's a pleasure to conversate with. And that goes for really everybody on the staff. I've enjoyed getting to know everybody. I think that's important, right? the minute you get traded over to develop a rapport, not just with the catchers and the coaching staff, but your teammates and your rotation mates and the bullpen. And, ultimately, we're going out there to try and win a World Series, and you got to be a cohesive unit. And so it's been great to get to know everybody. They've helped me acclimate extremely well and very fast. But Max in particular, yeah, I've always admired the way he competes. And now that I think about it, that's really the whole rotation. Bassett as well. I love the way he competes. Lauer, Jose, Ghazi, it's been fantastic, just to get to know everybody and have them get to know me a little bit. And so it's definitely, I'm grateful for the opportunity just to be here.
How much is it a conversation about the roof being open or closed because everyone not playing is like, oh, it's impacting how they pitch or not?
Yeah, it's a conversation. It was my first time pitching with the roof open the other night. Apparently it was a different weather pattern and wind pattern, which does affect your pitches. I think if you look at you take the changeup in particular, we were talking about it, from Miami to Toronto, it probably had on average close to 7 to 10 more inches of run on it. And it was just taken off and a little bit more difficult to control. Which ultimately that's baseball, right? It doesn't need to be a perfect environment or perfect elements to go out there and do your job. So it's not an excuse, but yeah, it is a conversation. The ball obviously flies a bit farther with the roof open, and some balls that might not necessarily be home runs end up being home runs. And whereas with the roof closed, maybe something that might be a home run usually on most days might end up just getting to the warning track. So it's a conversation. I'm excited to see what they end up doing in the playoffs. I think that's what's ultimately what matters, and we'll all figure it out. But it was definitely a nice little learning curve for me the other day. I'm excited for my next opportunity to pitch with the roof open because I feel like I can make all the necessary adjustments.
Bassett was on I think it was after a game the other day, talking about the bullpen, and scuffles a little bit, but more so that they're a little bit gassed right now. And I love you as a pitcher. And there's a lot of guys like you on the staff, with a guy like Bassett, a guy like Barrios, a guy like Gossi, and obviously Scherzer, that can go out and get strikeouts, but can also go deep into game. And I think when you have starters like that, it can help with a tired bullpen. But with you, I mean, because I don't think I ever remember you not pitching at least into the 7th inning. So as a strikeout guy as well, how much do you think about going deep in the game versus really just striking everybody out?
Yeah, I'm just trying to go deep into the game.
Yeah.
If we get swing and miss, then great. But I think in a perfect world, right, I'm getting ahead of hitters and in pitcher advantage counts. And then when we get to 0-2, 1-2, you take your shot. If you're on it that day and you're able to execute time after time, those are those special days, right? But ultimately, especially with the situation that kind of you just mentioned, I haven't been here all year, but every time, I see that these guys have quite a few appearances, and that definitely takes the season so long, and it's difficult for many reasons in different positions. And I always admire, everyday position players like that. The toll that it takes on y'all's legs and body is incredible. So I definitely see that. I think it's very important, and I think the starters as a group have recognized that, now more than ever we can kind of shoulder a load and try and go out there and be as efficient as possible and eat up some innings and go deep into some ball games. I think that benefits everybody.
Batters up and the Buds are stepping up to the plate. Budweiser is reminding all Buds to make time for baseball this summer. We're in the heart of the season, and nothing beats those moments with your closest buds, savoring the summer weather, cheering on your Toronto Blue Jays, and cracking open an ice-cold Bud. Think about it. Stadium snacks, your best friends, and Jays baseball, what do they all have in common? They all pair perfectly with a crisp Budweiser. That's just what buds do. And here's the best part. Budweiser is the official partner of your Toronto Blue Jays. Baseball just tastes better with your buds, and now it even looks better too. Right now, you can grab a limited edition Toronto Blue Jays Budweiser can at your local LCBO. They're the ultimate collector's item. So whether you're at the ballpark, on the patio, or catching a game at home, make sure you got a bud in hand, because baseball is better with your buds. You must be legal drinking age, and remember to enjoy responsibly.
Have you always been like that? Because, I mean, like this day and age, it's let's rip it from the first at bat and see how many, what we can do, how many strikeouts we can get until the fifth, and then bring in the bullpen. So is that something that you've always been like that, or somebody like kind of teach you that?
Yeah, no, I feel like I've always been like that. I never threw particularly hard, especially in high school and college, and so I was able to always pitch to contact. And I feel like that's where I found my value, was to be able to go deep into some games. And then once I got drafted, I started to find more swing and miss. So it was kind of a balancing act there early on, and trying to figure out which one am I going to be. But ideally you're both, right? And it's that situation that I just talked about, is like, okay, let's get ahead early and execute pitches, and then we'll take one, maybe two shots if there's a real chance to get a swing and miss here. Otherwise, let's get out of the at bat and continue to move forward.
I need to now ask the questions that Whit thinks are so brilliant that I bring to the table. Whit, can you show him what's in your hand? He has this thing now where he likes to have a baseball. Can you show him your grip? And Shane, how do you think that he would do if he were to throw out a pitch? Because he did pitch in a couple games.
You want me to show a grip?
Yep. Let's do it.
I threw a baseball my whole life. Like, you hold a baseball and you throw it.
I know, but
Did you have any pitching appearances?
One with Toronto. Yeah, I did not. I did not throw a ball in the zone that was not swung at, and I broke a bat. I was just flipping it in there. I broke a bat. Joe Adele hit a homer off me, and first pitch. After that, I drilled the guy.
Get off your plate.
All of 62, right in the calf.
That's your plate.
That's my plate. Yeah.
I just wanted to
Lindsay, you hold it and you throw it. So I know
we'll see. Shane, when you see position players go and pitch, I know you guys are down in the game, you're not feeling great, but are you nervous or a little stressed for them when they're up there seeing what they have?
They tend to seem like they're having a pretty good time. So I'm not too nervous for them, as long as they don't try and hover in that like 75 range. That's the nitro zone. I think the 45-mile-per-hour lob ball, you see hitters have a hard time with that. So
Lindsay, usually it's like 17-2 when a position player is in. You think he's nervous for the guy?
No, we're ready to get that game over with.
I was texting with Schwarber the other day. He had 4 homers, and in his fifth, he got to face a position player, and he popped up to center. Nobody's ever hit 5 homers in a game before.
Yep. That's crazy.
It's hard to do. It's hard to hit a ball coming in like this. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still a Liverpool FC fan? I'm asking this because there's a big signing.
Yeah, of course.
How are you feeling?
I feel great. They're awesome to watch. It's high octane football right there. And so I think they just added some more superstardom and definitely added to their depth as well. And so very excited for the next time I'm able to make it out there and see a match in person.
Would you have any more brilliant questions before we get to fans on deck?
No, I'm really interested to see what these people have to say.
All right, it's now time for fans on deck. So Shane, these are questions that are submitted by listeners or viewers of the show. And yes, there were a lot of Justin Bieber questions, so I'll just answer a couple right now. You are not related to him. Have you ever met him?
No.
Okay. So the first question we have is actually a video that was sent in for you. So let's see what they have to say.
I'm Grace. I'm Ruth. And our question for you is, do you have any pregame rituals or like superstitions?
I guess we kind of answered that, right? No, I definitely have a strong pregame routine. But in regards to like what I'm eating, when I'm eating it, I try and time up carbs and my protein prior to the game, but nothing crazy, nothing in particular. I try and be as fluid as possible with my pregame routine, and that way I'm able to execute it anywhere. It's a boring answer, but it's true.
Hey, it's what we want to know.
Yeah.
This next question, similar storyline and questions. We've had at least 10 submissions about this, but it was how many free dinners and stays will it take for you to sign an extension? And I'll put that into a little bit of context. When Kawhi Leonard played for the Toronto Raptors and then he became a free agent after, a lot of restaurants were offering something called Kawhi and Dine, where they'd give him free meals wherever it was in the city. So I'm just saying, like, how many free dinners and stays will it take for you to sign an extension with the club?
That's fantastic. That's probably after he brought the championship.
Yeah, just after.
All right, well, we'll focus on the World Series, and then I'll give you an answer after that. How about that?
That is a perfect answer.
All right.
Next question. Who was the player that inspired you to play baseball?
Oh, not a player, but yeah, my dad. Well, I mean, he did play, but I assume they're asking about Major League Baseball players. He's always been a fantastic fan of the game. And, growing up in Orange County, he was a big Angels fan. And so I was inspired by him and his passion. And, we're always playing ball. Myself, my dad, and my brother Travis.
This next one, we had several questions along this line. What is your mustache maintenance routine? It's almost as good as Babes, also known as Davis.
Babes, is that his nickname?
We called him Babe Schneider when he debuted because his first 5 games, he hit 4 homers or something like that.
Yeah,
so
it was crazy, huh?
Mm-hmm. So we started calling him Babe Schneider.
I like it. All right, I'll break that one out today. I like calling him Big Wave. Big Wave Dave. I called him that one day when I first got here, and he loved it. He goes, Big Wave Dave.
I love that he's coming out of his shell. He was still kind of a little timid right before.
He's awesome, man.
He's the best.
Really enjoy Davis. Mustache maintenance routine. I don't know. I gotta go clean this thing up. So it's probably once every 5 days, which isn't great. So sorry to out myself, but keep it clean probably right before my starts. I think that's what's important.
I love that question. Do you like that your strikeout song in Toronto is Sorry by Bieber?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what I think. I think that's the short answer. They love it. I will say that's probably the first time a home team is doing the Justin Bieber bit, but I don't think it's out of satire anymore. Usually it's on the road in the minor leagues. A couple times it happened in the major leagues. But that's usually a bit now. Now it's the home team, and they seem to like it, and so I seem to like it too. If it happens on good things like strikeouts, who am I to complain?
As soon as I heard that, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you have no say in that. Last one. What are your favorite albums from 3 different genres of your choice?
Oh, I'm not an album guy per se, but I love all genres. I know, I think Cody Jinks just came out with a new album I gotta listen to. That's some country for you. Some old Revolution. Shout out UC Santa Barbara, and my Santa Barbara roots. And then the third one, I just a steady rotation. I'm not very particular. I love all sorts of music and genres, so I'll just throw it on shuffle.
I love that. I just really thank you for your time today. Getting a little emotional that we have to let you go. But yeah, you're an absolute treat. Thank you for putting up with my dumb questions and also Whit.
It was a pleasure, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on. Best of luck. You'll love Canada, man. It's awesome.
Already do. Yeah, thanks.
What a jam. I'm so happy Shane was on our show. But we have a couple fans on deck question for you. One was from Cheryl, who wants to know, how was the golf tournament you were at last week? How did you end up doing?
It was great. We had a great time. Looking forward to playing in the next one. But I didn't play as well as I would have liked to. Had a good first day. Didn't really make any putts. Thought I could gain some momentum off that and have a good second and third day, and just wasn't hitting it as good the second and third day, but did make a lot of putts. So if I could have combined the first day and the second and third day, I could have done something. But I think I ended up finished 30th out of 80 guys. Really, I mean, there's some like golfers there that are like a good step above me. So I think if I would have played well, I could have cracked the top 15. But I just didn't do it. Just didn't play well. Club championship and my club is this weekend. So I'm looking forward to having a much better 3 days and coming home with a trophy, maybe. No, there's some good golfers in my club too. I'm just having fun. That's what I'm having fun.
I cannot wait to ask you about this. Yeah, next week on our pod to see what kind of mood you're in and if you won it all. You're almost through one season of not playing. I'm going to ask this now. Are you having fun? Like, how has the adjustment been?
It's been great. It's been great. Not having to worry about facing guys like Shane Bieber that you're going to go carve me up. Not, having to hop on a plane every third day and go to a different city. I do miss the travel a little bit. I definitely miss hanging with the guys. But I don't miss playing the sport at all. And I think hopefully you can tell by the way I talk about the sport that I have a lot of passion with it, and if it fires me up where the sport's going, and hopefully we can figure out a way to revert it back and kind of have more of, baseball is an art, it's football's a brutal sport. Baseball is an art form, and there's a way, it's a thinking man's game. There's a way to play the game, and people that have played the game. Dayton Moore said this to me, and it really resonated with me. Back, I don't know, in like the 90s, 80s, 90s, like early on, even early 2000s, when guys got done playing, they stuck around the game because they didn't make enough money to just go and like live on the beach and retire and not do anything the rest of their life. And then we started making a lot of money as players, and guys that got done playing, they got away from the game. And so what are owners and front office people to do but bring in these MIT nerds that have never picked up a baseball in their life but think they have a formula of how the game is supposed to, like, if we do X, Y, and Z, it's going to translate to this many more wins. And so those guys have stepped into our game and have given it the shift that it's at now. While I do think analytics is a good thing and a good tool and can be used when it's used properly, can be valuable. It's kind of an end-all be-all right now with a lot of teams, and that's not a good place to be for our sport. So yes, I'm very happy.
I am debating whether or not to rant. Can I have a get off my lawn kind of moment and yell at clouds? Whip? I'm going to do it anyway. When I was researching just a little bit about Bieber, and he has so many hilarious moments online. I know I disappointed you with the videos I chose, but where we're at this isn't journalism, but as a society, everyone just wants to be famous. And when I went and looked at all these videos, it's talking heads over a video of Shane being like, he's not back, or he's back, or whatever. And I looked it up, and like most of these people have never played baseball. They're not even at a game. They're not in the country. They're just also, everyone's saying the same thing and picking what somebody else is saying, but it's just talking heads yelling over a video. And I kind of blame Stephen A. Smith, but I know it's very popular, and I think I'm in the minority. I hate this shit. Be creative. But we're going to now do this where you just start yelling at things, and we're just going to put it online. Have you
seen Billy Madison?
Yes.
You just reminded me of his speech at the thing. When you said society, he's talking and he goes, society? That was you, right? That was you just then. You are Billy Madison. I
take that as a compliment. My golf skills. Add moments. If you've seen new Billy Madison.
No.
Billy Madison, back to school. Sorry.
Not Happy Gilmore. Billy Madison.
Back to school. Sorry. That fires me up. That straight up pisses me off, and I know I'm in the minority. I am embarrassing myself. This is probably the least that you've made fun of me in an episode, so I don't think we're friends anymore. But on that note, talk to me about your snazzy shirt you have on.
Yeah, I rocked. I try to coordinate it with our guests. This is Firestone. This is the the Cleveland gym, just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. Tiger Woods, I think, won here more than any other course that he ever won at when he was playing, and not dead. He's been dead for like 6 years now. One thing after another. Poor guy just can't stay healthy. But yeah, great course. Loved it. One of the first shirts I got along my golf journey, and yeah. So shout out Shane. I think Shane's a golfer. I should ask him about golf, but I think Shane plays a little golf, and Firestone's a great one in Cleveland. Probably the best one around.
Best one around.
Best one around Cleveland. Best one around Cleveland. Let's get particular.
Billy Madison for life. Anyways, thank you all for listening and watching, whatever you're doing, but make sure to like, subscribe, and thank you for joining us for another edition of 6 Inning Stretch.
Give us something to yell about next week.
Thanks for watching this video. If you want more interviews, analysis, or Blue Jays news from the 6 Inning Stretch, make sure to hit the subscribe button below or watch more of our content over here.